Laura, the founder of New Earth Practitioners, and I am so delighted to have Sheila with me today. She is a dream interpreter, a coach, and she helps people. She's been doing this for a very long time. She has great experience helping people through their dream journey. Thank you, Sheila, for coming.
Well, thank you, Laura. And I have to give you a slight correction here. I don't actually interpret dreams. What I do is I act as a facilitator because it's not my dream. I don't have to understand it. The person who dreamt it has to understand it. What I do is ask the unasked questions, ways of approaching the dream so that they find what resonates for them. You can tell when they get it because they have that light bulb moment and you can see it in their face. It doesn't have to make sense to you or me. It has to make sense to the person who's actually dreaming.
Our mission at New Earth Practitioners is tuning in to what is right for you, being able to get your own information, and you're assisting people in that process and being
Yes.
able to validate and reflect and mirror back to them. So that's just beautiful. I love it. So thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. I think there's a real misconception around dream interpretation. Interpreting a dream is dictating to a person what their dream means to them. And who am I to do that? I mean, it's not my dream. The dreams take the bits of our lives and highlight them. So it's what's going on in your life, whether you see what's going on or you don't see. It's like you buried it somewhere or you're just not aware. But the unconscious mind is sending up these little flags and saying, hey, have a look at this. Now, if the usual way that these little flags are sent up are through dreams, but it could be slips of the tongue, it could be
Mm.
accidents, it could be any number of ways the universe is like trying to get our attention. I know years ago, I was going to visit a girlfriend of mine who was in a rehabilitation center after having a stroke. And I was on my way back from visiting my friend, and I kept hearing, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. Stop, slow down. So on my way home, I'm walking along, nothing and nobody around me. I start to trip. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. I was falling. I couldn't stop myself. It was weird. And I could see cars coming towards me, but they were far enough away to see me fall so that by the time they actually got to me, they had come to a stop. By that time, I was off for 3 weeks. I wasn't listening. The dreams were like, I'm talking to your hand. Right. I'm going to make you listen.
Similarly, my journey around that intuitive realm, the dreams are all part of being able to listen to that particular communication, symbols, notifications through your dreams, or whatever it might be in your own personal life. I'm curious though, what was the significant turning point for you? Maybe it's connected to dreams. Intuition could be a lot of different things, not just
Mm-hmm.
one thing that a lot of people
Sure.
think.
Mm-hmm. I am an intuitive. I walk into rooms and I'll walk back out if the energy is disgusting. It's like I've been given this ability. I'm like a human lie detector. I know when people are lying to me and I give them the chance to come clean. But if they don't, it's like, okay, I know what your game is, and I just avoid them. So being intuitive is just a part of who I am. And when I don't listen to my intuition, well, I get screwed by the universe big time. So the first experience I had with dreams and getting intuitively received information was when I was 8 years old. When the penny really dropped for me was when my dreams literally saved my life. This disaster happened, which was 9/11, and I was back in the UK. I had moved back to London and I didn't know what that dream meant. And it frightened me to death. I woke up in a cold sweat, I was shaking. I couldn't understand what the dream was saying to me, which frightened me even more because I had never had that experience. It wasn't until I was back in London and going back to work from lunch, because I worked near home, when I saw all these people running around screaming, crying, and it's like, what's going on? And I hear Tower playing hit. My mind went totally blank. And I knew in that second, that's what that dream was about. Those dreams, it was a series of dreams, the same nightmare every single night. Because I could not understand or decipher what the dream was trying to tell me. But the thing that shifted the dreams, or nightmares in this case, was the fact that intuitively I knew I needed to take some kind of action or not take some kind of action. As the case may happen, the action was making the decision to return to London. And the minute I made that decision, the fights I was having to get a visa for my husband stopped. I got my visa in 3 days to go back to the UK, and the nightmares stopped completely, just as suddenly as they started.
Wow.
I walked through the towers every single day as a stockbroker. I worked for Lehman Brothers, which was another bullet I dodged. So I dodged a lot of bullets back in the day. It was that decision, and that's what dreams are, a call to action of some kind, whether to change of mindset, whether to take a specific, to act in a specific way or not, as the case may be. Dreams are just floating this information up saying, hey, this is important, look at this. And the consequences of not doing that can literally change or end your life. People think dreams, cheap wine, cheese at night, whatever it is causes dreams. There's a lot more to it than that. A whole lot more. Neuroscience and quantum physics are proving that dreams really are something that people should be tapping into more. They really should.
Accesses places that our conscious mind won't access. Oh, there's so much symbology in it. I've had these particular types of dreams which surprised me. I dream about animals quite often. Animals will talk to me or something like that. When I was young, I had a stallion that I would go and talk to regularly. Then I got involved in a psychic school, and the stallion told me that we're no longer going to talk. It was a completion of something with
that horse was your teacher. I laugh because I was receiving teachings at night in my dreams, and all kinds of things. One teacher of mine was teaching me about doing healing work with plants. Actually was my great grandmother. I'd never met her, but was my great grandmother, who was an Indian, Arawak Indian from the mountains of Trinidad in the Caribbean. It was the funniest thing. She's giving me this information, and it's like, I had picked up a few things over the years, and we'd have these discussions. And she communicated to me that I was just like the rudest child on earth. I would contradict her. It was hysterical. So I wondered if my neighbors must have thought I was crazy. Sometimes I'd wake up laughing my head off because of some of the things happening, and I'd be learning in my dreams. It's an experience that isn't as uncommon as we may think. In Buddhist tradition and other traditions, getting instruction or learning from sleep is part of the norm. Right. Even in the Bible, in Western spirituality, you see information coming to us from dreams. In cultures such as the Aborigines of Australia and the Hopi and Navajo peoples in the Southwest US, you talk of dream time or dreaming the world that the great-great-great-grandchildren are going to inherit. It's using that intuitive sense or that spiritual sense, because if it hasn't happened in the ether, it's not going to manifest in the physical. Everything starts as a thought. Even the universe started as a thought, and then there was light. It has to be that seed that starts the whole process. And dreams are part of that seed. Use this example. It's like for business people, what are you sitting on? What great business idea are you sitting on? Are you sitting on a Google, which was the result of a dream? Are you sitting on the greatest scientific experiment or result that anyone has ever seen? The double helix of DNA was like that. E equals MC squared by Einstein was like that. all from dreams, and things that even that we use every day have been the result of dreams. What are we not tapping into?
I love how you're talking about the different benefits of dreaming or what dreaming
Mhm.
can give you. When you're talking about dreaming, is it only going to sleep, laying down, dreaming, or is it like the dreaming where you're in that space where you allow yourself to dream
Yes.
in waking life? So
Yes. I
are
mean,
you
daydreaming, MRI scans and whatnot have shown this. Daydreaming is using, in its essence, the same neural pathways in the brain as night dreaming. You're in that space, that zone where you're open and receptive to input. And we get billions of inputs every second of the day, which we develop overwhelmed because we're bombarded with too much stuff all the time. So, which is part of the reason why daydreaming or night dreaming, the brain is firing in the same way. You're in a more receptive state, screening out the noise so that certain kinds of input can come in. Now, what they find is that the dream state puts us in the state like where babies are most of the time when they're newborn, the delta band wave, which is the deepest level of sleep, but the brain is still awake and active. Scans have shown that when we're dreaming, the brain is firing as if we are awake. So at a certain level, we are awake. We are involved in that climbing that mountain or being carried off by a romantic partner or whatever the case may be that we're dreaming about. But one point that I'd like to come back to that you mentioned is of symbology and what the way dreams act the way they do. Why do they appear the way they do? Dreams come from the creative side, which is the right hemisphere of the brain. So that part of the brain was developed before we had language. And because we didn't have language, how did we retain information? Pictures, images. So we knew that back in the day when we saw that saber-toothed cat, that meant run like hell or fight. Or those berries that looks really nice and sweet and juicy, they damn near killed me. So when you see it, you know immediately. Run, don't eat. It was a survival tactic. So it's the kind of thing that when the neocortex or new brain, the bean counter, the logic one that counts and judges and has a dream come up from the other side of the brain, it's like, what is this nonsense? And just dismisses it as cheese at night, cheap wine, or whatever the case may be, and just dismisses it out of hand. In the West, it's particularly bad because we're always in the left brain. The bean counters, the logic. We don't give value to the right half of the brain. In Asia and Africa and Australia and other places, they still do. I gave a talk online through an interpreter to a ladies group in Hong Kong. And I was talking about dreams. And the conversation was just amazing. The culture still sets great store by dreams. It was something they were interested in, that they would talk about. People sit around in groups and talk about their dreams. Here, it's almost like they've gotten into that Freudian perspective. Dreams are the shameful things you have to hide away. And that's a shame because it's a wealth of information that can do us a lot of good.
I'm excited about it because of my experience with intuition and some of the things that I do. I think that we need to have a more in-depth conversation. We're going to end this section and we're going to have a part 2 where we really can talk about this because there's so much in what Sheila just brought up that's really important around the intuition and the dream state. And I really had an aha moment, which I'll share in the next part. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.